Hi, we're getting ready for the Unit 2 test and we're going to practice graphs. So here we go. The first thing you're going to see on the test is just a straightforward slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. And so you want to go ahead and identify, let me get a color. You want to identify the y-intercept first, and that's the number that's all by itself. You go to the y-axis because that's the y-intercept, and you put a dot on the 7. So we only need 2 dots to make a line, and we're halfway there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the rate of change or the slope. That two different words that mean the same thing. So when we see that the slope is -2/3, this tells me my rise. Now it's a negative, so I'm really going to fall, aren't I? And this tells me my run. So that means when I see that -2, now I see the negative, how it's just out in front of the whole fraction. When we do slope, put that negative up on the top, because instead of rising up, it reminds us to fall down. So from this point on 7, we're going to fall down 2, 1, 2, so 1, 2, and then we're going to run to the right 3. We always run to the right. 1, 2, 3, and there's our second dot. Now on your test, you're going to be expected to connect those 2 dots with a line that goes through both of them, and then with arrows on both to show that you know that a line goes on and on and on forever. So let's go ahead and connect them. You could use a ruler if you wanted to, but make sure your line goes through both dots and that you put those arrows on the end. All right, let's look at number 2. So number 2, also in slope-intercept form, and what that means is that the form that we see gives us both our y-intercept and our slope. It looks like the slope's not there, right? But we'll talk about that in a second. So our y-intercept is -5. We'll go ahead and put that dot on -5. Now when we don't see anything in front of the x, that means it's kind of like if I were to give you an apple. I'd say here's an apple. I wouldn't say here's one apple. Same thing here. It's an x. How many x's do we see? It's 1x. So we could actually write a 1 in front of it. Let's switch colors. Let's put a 1 in front of it. And that is our slope. Now, when our slope or our rate of change, same thing, only has a rise and doesn't have a run, we could put a 1 underneath it to run. We always need a run. If we don't run, we're not going to be able to have a slope. Well, actually, when there's a 0 in the denominator, you know what that means, right? We're going to have an undefined slope. So here we go. Our slope is 1. That means we go back to our green dot. We go up 1, over 1, and there's our second dot. We only need 2 points to make a line. So we'll go ahead and connect these 2 points going through both of them. And we put that arrows on both ends. So far, so good. All right. I'm going to make sure that this is going. It is. All right, so the next one, we've got x equals 5. So I know we talked about this in class. You know, when you have something like y equals 4, remember I talked about somebody walked in your room and saw all the clothes on your floor, and they're like, why is your room such a mess? And they put their arms straight out, you know, when someone says, why? And you'd say, it's a walk-on closet. Anyways, y equals 4. We'd go to the y-axis, we'd find the 4, right? And we put a line this way, like somebody's saying, why? You have the arms straight out. Why? And their hair's all a mess. Why is your room such a mess? All right, but this isn't y equals, right? This is x equals. So this goes the opposite way. We go to the x-axis, right? We find the 5, we put a little dot on there, and we know that we're going to draw our line straight up. And we talked about this before, that every single point on this line starts with 5. Like this point is 5, 2. This point, let me get it thinner so we can see it. This point is what? 5, 6. This point's 5, 10. So can you see that every single point on this line has what? X equals 5. X is always equal to 5, and that's why this line is x equal 5. Let me clear that for your test. You don't have to draw all, you know, the person with their arms out or any of those points. It's just a straight line going through x equals 5. All right. This next one, This is in standard form, and it's a great way to graph using our intercepts. And so in class, I talked about doing the XY table, and I know that when I find my x-intercept, y is equal to 0, and when I find my y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So it kind of helps me to know what I'm going to do. So for my x-intercept, if y is 0, I get rid of that. I just get rid of it like it's gone. All right, don't do that on your paper because, right, we still need to see it. But then that would lead me to write negative 5x equals negative 20. And then I divide both sides by negative 5 and get x equals 4. So we put that 4 there, and here's a point, right? 4, my x-intercept is 4, 0. So I go over to my x-axis, I find the 4, and then that 0 says don't go up, don't go down, just stay. That's 4, 0. So one thing down. All right, now let's get rid of, we got rid of this. Now let's go ahead and try to find what our y value is for our y-intercept. Let's use a different color. Let's get some orange going. So if when I find my y-intercept, x is 0. And when I set x equal to 0, that means this is gone. This whole thing's equal to 0. So what I have left is 4y equals negative 20. I go ahead and divide both sides by 4. I get y equals negative 5. This goes over here. So this is my point that I'm going to graph, right? 0, negative 5 says don't go anywhere on the x-axis. That's 0. X is 0, but y is negative 5. So once we have our 2 points, we're like, yay. Let's connect the 2 points. Put those arrows on the end. All right, nice. Okay, the next one, this is called point slope form, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to use distributive property to get this into a better form where we can see what our y-intercept and our slope is. I like doing it that way, so let's just do that. So see on the left, the y plus 6, we're just going to rewrite that, and what we're going to do on the right is we're going to distribute. We're going to distribute the 1/2 to the x, so 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. And then 1/2 times negative 4, that's negative 2. Of course, you can use your calculator for that. I'm just kind of speeding it up so that the video is not that long. All right, we're almost there. I just got to get rid of this positive 6. So to get rid of the positive 6, I'm going to go ahead and subtract it on both sides. So that's gone. I get y equals, I'm not subtracting anything from the 1/2 x. I'm subtracting 6 from the negative 2. Negative 2 minus 6, if you put that in your calculator, is negative 8. So let's go ahead and look at the y-axis. See how this form right here is just so much better, isn't it? Because now we know where our y-intercept is and we know what our slope is. So once again, we just had to distribute and bring that 6 over. All right, so our y-intercept is negative 8. We go to the y-axis, we put a dot on the negative 8. And then our slope is 1 over 2. That means rise up 1 and run over 2. Put your dot there. 2 dots make a line, right? 2 points. We only need 2 points to make a line. Now, 3 points are better because we could have 2 points and make a mistake and not know, because any 2 points will make a line, right? But we were pretty careful, so we're good. So we're going to put our line through and our arrow. Nice. And let's see, I think we only have one more to do. And it's another one, when we don't see what our y-intercept and our slope is, we can distribute and move a number over from the left to the right, and it can be so much easier. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and distribute that negative 2 both to the x and to the negative 1. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. We're going to go ahead and add 4 to both sides to get rid of that negative 4. And we get y equals negative 2x, and 2 plus 4 is 6. So isn't this a beautiful form, right? When we can see what our y-intercept is and what our slope is, that's awesome. So our y-intercept is 6. We're going to find our y-axis, and we're going to put a dot on the 6 because that's where our y-intercept is, and then this is our slope. And remember, if we only have one number, we got to put a 1 underneath it. Because you agree, right? If you put -2 divided by 1 in your calculator, you're just going to get a -2. We're not changing the value. We're not changing the number. We're just making it so we say, we've got rise over run. Now, once again, our rise is negative, so that does mean we're going to fall, aren't we? All right, so from this point, we're going to fall down 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're always going to run to the right. So we're going to run to the right 1. We're going to connect those 2 dots, extend past them, and get a little arrow going. And I think that's it. All right, so you've got 2 practices to do after this, and I know you can rock this on the test. So go ahead and study from your notes that we just did together, and really try your best on the practices. All right, I'll see you in class. Thanks.